Welcome to EHL's for today's media luncheon. Our players this week are wide receiver Jamie Potts, defensive end Matt Judon, head coach Matt Mitchell. Just some housekeeping here. Matt Judon became the single-season all-time leader in quarterback sacks last Saturday against Tiffin. Now he's 18 heading into his final game, which is the Battle of the Valleys against Saginaw Valley on Saturday at 1 p.m. start. Coach, if you can talk about the Tiffin game, then we'll move on to Saginaw.
Sure. Hard-fought victory down at Tiffin. Glad that we got the win. Certainly give credit to Tiffin offense. I thought Antonio Pipkin in person was everything we'd seen on tape. He was a very productive player, resilient player. That being said, we didn't help ourselves out very much throughout the course of the game. From a defensive perspective, I thought our first and second down defense was adequate. We did a good job. We just had a hard time getting off the field on third down. I mean, they had 22 third down opportunities, which is obviously a lot, and we didn't get off the field we needed to on third down. And I think it's a combination of some factors that we got to take a look at, and we got to get cleaned up moving forward. But I think that's been the common denominator here the last 2 weeks. The defensive side of the ball is that we have gotten the opposition at third downs. We haven't gotten off the field. And our third down conversion percentage defensively was pretty good, and the last week it's really fallen off. So. And, just like I said, we got to take a look at everything on tape about both the schemes and the positions we're putting our players in, the opposition, our guys, and just take a look at everything and try to improve upon that area. Offensively, we didn't punt once the first half. We were very explosive, very productive. We made a lot of plays, had a lot of guys make a lot of plays. Jamie Potts, Matt Williams, Nick Dotson, Kirk Spencer, a lot of different guys stepping up, and our quarterback continues to put the ball in some spots that are tough to defend. So I think a couple possessions and things that happened that we made difficult for ourselves. We scored to take a 2-score lead and knew we were going to get the ball to start the second half. We had an awesome opportunity to go out there and get the stop defensively, and we had a bad series. We had a penalty extended a drive and just didn't play well, and we gave up points. Even that being said, we had the lead at halftime. Then we came out the second half and got the ball, and we turned the ball over on the first possession. That put us in a rough spot. I will give our defense credit. It was our backs were against the wall at the late third quarter. We had a couple possessions where they pressured us, and we didn't handle it real well offensively, and we had a couple 3-and-outs backed up, and we had to punt it, and they got the ball midfield, and we found a way to get some stops and got turnovers to get the ball back to our offense and regain the lead. And then we've got the 2-score lead, and we're driving. We're running the ball very effectively. We got the ball down inside the 10-yard line with an opportunity to go up 56-35, and we get our second costly turnover of the day, in which they came back down and scored. So, we had some opportunities both at the end of the first half and the fourth quarter to really extend the lead, get 2-3-score lead, and really put the nail in the coffin. But we didn't take advantage of those opportunities. So. I told the team after that I'm not going to apologize for winning football games. We went on the road, and we found a way. It wasn't pretty, but we found a way to win, and we had some moments where it was rough sledding, and our guys continue to fight and play and get the job done. We got to get our third down defense has got to get cleaned up, and we got some things we got to work on heading into Saginaw Valley. So. When you take a look at Saginaw Valley, obviously a big rivalry between the two institutions. There's been a lot of history on the football programs. It was just 2 years ago that we had to face them at the end of the year, last game of the season, in a must-win situation for us to advance to the playoffs. And we were able to find a way to win that. And then we faced them again in the first round of the playoffs. So this is a team that's 2 years removed from a playoff appearance, and we played them in the playoffs that first round. I think the biggest difference has been their inexperience on the offensive side of the ball. They're struggling offensively. 4 of their 5 offensive linemen are first-year starters. Their quarterback is a first-year starter. Most of their backs have not had a lot of experience in college, and they've been banged up. Some of their backs they haven't had a back or a skill guy, I think, play all 10 games. They've had a lot of rotation in the lineups at the skill positions, and they're struggling. They're struggling with consistency on the offensive side of the ball, and that's where they're at. Watching the tape defensively, I think their defense, is probably better than it gets credit for, but they're out there a lot. They're out there a lot because of the ineffectiveness of their offense up to this point in time. But they play hard on defense, and they've got some kids that are physical on the defensive side of the ball, and they're giving up 31 points per game. They're having to defend a lot of plays because there's been a lot of series. When they played Hillsdale, I think 8 of their 10 possessions on offense, Saginaw was 3-and-out, and they just put their defense right back out in some tough positions with their offensive ineffectivity. So, this is one of those games. There'll be a lot of be a lot of excitement for both sides because of these rivalries, and I know there's a lot of guys on their roster that the kids in our program know, and vice versa. So there's a lot of familiarity between some of the players on the field, and we'll get our guys ready to go this week and continue to try to improve. And we all know in our program what's at stake here with this game coming up this Saturday at 1 p.m. Questions?
Coach, just talking about the third down issues, how much of that had to do with Pipkin himself? He certainly seemed to make a lot of things happen.
Certainly did. I thought not only him, but they had 3 receivers that they look good on tape, but I was very impressed with them in person standing on the sideline. So, Tiffin certainly had a hand in that, both with their scheme and with the players they had in that. But we still have to have enough expectation levels on the defensive side of the ball, coaches and players, that we can't allow that to happen, even if we're going against good competition. We need to have a high enough standard here that we're going to play good teams, and we have to be able to get off the field on third down. And I don't think heading into that game that we did enough to influence the quarterback. I think he was too comfortable with what he was seeing, and was able, when a quarterback is comfortable back there, and I'm not talking about lack of pressure. We got plenty of pressure on him, but just the looks we're giving him pre-snap, things like that, you got to try to keep him off balance, and I don't think we did a good enough job of that, keeping him off balance. So we certainly got to look to improve that, because that was the biggest weakness that we had on Saturday.
Matt, we're getting to the point of the season where we can probably expect the weather to turn sometime soon, and that might mean the kind of ball game that's a little bit different than what a lot of teams in this conference have been playing this year, a passing attack that a lot of teams have used. How is your team situated, and how do you feel about your ability to run the ball here as you get into maybe the cold weather game or games that could be coming up?
Yeah, I think first of all I would say this. In reference to the passing game, Bart has a tremendous amount of velocity on the football. He's got an extremely strong arm, and I don't think that the wind might affect him as much as maybe some other quarterbacks. And so I also think we have a group of receivers that's a really tough-minded group of receivers. I don't think that we have mentally soft skill kids that are going to let cold weather and or adverse conditions affect them. And we've played in some not so great conditions this year. It was we had a lot of rain, the Hillsdale game, and there's been some other times we had windy stuff. And I don't go inside. I refuse to go inside unless there's lightning. So about every practice except for one this entire fall, we've been outside, and we try to get outside. Obviously, in those games, you got to be able to run the ball some. I understand that. I been here 12 years, and we've had some really bad weather December games, and you got to be able to run the ball some. And I think that sometimes I don't know if we give ourselves enough credit for our run game. We're second in the conference in terms of yards per carry. The numbers, when you look at the rushing numbers per game, it's not up there with some of the other schools, but we're very effective every time we hand the ball off. I think what has kind of happened is we're playing to the strength a little bit of our offense. We have a very talented quarterback. I think is like third in the nation in touchdown passes. We have some very talented receivers, and we have a good understanding how to attack some things, and we're playing to that strength. Doesn't mean I don't think we can't run the ball. Like 2 days ago, when we had the 2-score lead and we had to run it to 2 o'clock, we ran it. We ran it. Kirk Spencer got it down to the 8. It's unfortunate that we fumbled, but he showed up as a senior should be, and he did that. And so, the running numbers, I kind of look at it as a head coach. I'm a little disappointed sometimes at our rushing output per game, but then I start looking at statistics, and you look at the effectiveness per carry. We're up there. We're second in the league in terms of yards per touch on that side of the ball. And, I think we have confidence. I think it'll help us this week. Ben Walling is back. He did not play the last 2 games. He had a really bad throat infection and had to get admitted to the hospital for that. And so he didn't get on the bus on Friday for Ashland. He's missed the 2 games. He's cleared to practice on Tuesday. And so we get him back at tackle, and we can kind of get our guys back in our rotation the way it should be. And, we know that those games are coming. I definitely know we know those games are coming, and we're going to have to find a way to get some of those hard yards when we have to.
Matt, if you could talk about your seniors. This is obviously their last home game. Potentially their last home game, and potentially their last game. Talk about what the seniors mean to you, the 2 guys on your sides, and then if Jamie and Matt would both comment too, that'd be great.
Sure. I think when you look at the senior class, it's not a real big senior class in terms of the number of guys, but their production and what they've meant to this program there's been a huge impact. On the defensive side of the ball, Matt set the single-season sack record, and he's within reach of the all-time sack record. He's second behind Dan Skuda, and has been extremely productive on the field, but has shown a lot of great leadership. Brad Horling has played a lot of snaps at Grand Valley State and in a lot of different positions, whether it's will linebacker, each of the safeties, nickel. There's been a lot of things he's done. So we only have 2 seniors on defense, but their impact has been very significant. Offensively, getting Jamie back this year was huge. His production and also his, the way he's approached things, I think, has helped our football team. Our 2 interior offensive linemen with Brandon Reverberg and Jim Walsh, both basically been 3-year starters on our offense. Justice Wright at the receiver position, who's, from a production standpoint, maybe he doesn't have a ton of catches this year, but has had an impact on our offense and his understanding of how to play different positions, and has really helped me on special teams and done some things, on that side of the ball. Derek DeLuca, nobody talks about him. Long snapper, short snapper, been extremely consistent, on that side of the ball. And then, Kirk Spencer. You got to take Kirk Spencer in context of everything he's done. I think he is second in the league right now in terms of all-purpose yards behind Jason Vanderland, if I'm correct. But I know he's up there, whether he's second or third. But you look at his return game is really amped up. He's always been a receiving threat out of the backfield, and obviously the rushing threat too. And then a late addition here the past couple games when Christian Harris has come in and got some reps and done some things that way. And Ben Hutchins, not a ton of carries this year at the running back position, but a lot of productivity on special teams. I mean, kickoff team, he's one of the first guys running down there. So it's a small crew, but it's been a crew that's played a lot of snaps of football at Grand Valley State and has been very productive on the field, but also been excellent leaders for us and really been like the backbone of our program. Really consistent people in the way they approach things. There's not a lot of highs and lows. They're all very consistent people, and I know all of our guys on our program have a tremendous amount of respect for what they brought to the table and what they meant for Grand Valley. So I was a little bit winded, but I'll pass it on to the other 2 guys.
Obviously, it's been a great 5 years here, with the guys that I've been with, and the recruiting class I came in was pretty small. I think we had 24 guys in my recruiting class, and I think there's 9 of us left. So, it definitely dwindled, but, it's a special group of guys, when you're with some people for that long and go through that much with them, it means a lot. So Saturday's going to be kind of bittersweet, last time we get to step out on Lubbers Field probably and play a football game, but very thankful for the opportunity to have played here for 5 years.
It's just been a wonderful experience here in Grand Valley. I enjoyed every bit of it, and I'm not, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. You've been here for 6 years. I've been here for 6 years, so it's been a fun time. So I'm not thinking that as the last game, but might be the last game in Lubbers, and I'm going to go out there playing, expecting to win and continue my career at Grand Valley.
And I think one thing that, it's probably the first time we've all had to think about it because we've been so focused on it not potentially being our last game, and I think it's a little bit different this season, maybe last season, that we have opportunities, to keep playing football. And I think we're all fortunate for that, and maybe that hasn't had everybody thinking about it quite as much because the ultimate, the finale of it hasn't quite set in.
If all 3 of you two could address just playing Saginaw Valley, it always seems to be a game where the hits are a little harder. It is a rivalry game, whether they're having a tough year or not. How do you guys feel about it?
I certainly agree. I can remember we lost a heartbreaker over at their place, and that'll be one of those games I'll probably in my career never forget. We had opportunities, and we kind of they got one on us, at the end, made some plays that we didn't make. But even back to those years when I was an assistant in the playoffs, the mid-2000, having to face them. And, my first year, 2004, we lost to them at home. I lost to them at their place, and just a lot of great ball games. And so, and I think they like us. The backbone of the recruiting is the state of Michigan, as I mentioned before. And so there's a lot of players on the roster that both sides know. And as you mentioned, they're struggling this year, no doubt about it. But it's still a game that I think all of our players, look at when you look at the schedule. It's one of those games that you kind of look at and you look at the schedule and figure out when are we going to play Saginaw, when the Saginaw game is.
Yeah, it's definitely a game that you look forward to on your schedule. we've played some really big games against them the past, couple years, last 2 or 3 years. We've had some pretty intense matchups with them. So it's a lot of fun. Obviously, I was recruited by both schools, and they're kind of down to my final couple of choices. Saginaw Valley was in that. So, it's fun to play against them. It's definitely fun to win, and hopefully we can go out there and perform on Saturday.
Yeah, just knowing a couple guys from their school, and it's a rivalry, and you always want to come out with the bragging rights, so to speak. But you go out there and play the game hard as you should every weekend. But hits might be a little harder, and stuff might get a little bit more chippier, but you got to go out there with the focus, and you got to be mentally prepared and know that stuff might go down inside the piles when you get a tackle and stuff, and got to keep your head, because this game means a lot for Grand Valley State University because of the rivalry, but it also means a lot for the 2015 Grand Valley State Lakers.
This is for Matt and Jamie. You guys are both moving up into on some career lists in terms of receptions, reception yards, touchdowns, and sacks. Each of you just kind of address, kind of what being near the top means to you guys as far as the program goes.
For me personally, being towards the top of those lists doesn't really mean a great deal to me. I'm just happy that I can help our team out. But you obviously you want to perform anytime you go out onto the field, and I've always been one of those people that I'm really never satisfied with my performance, no matter how good it is or how bad it is. So, I guess, it makes me feel, a little good that, I'm up there and I've done some good things for this team and this program. But at the end of the day, I'm just always trying to get better.
And it's nice to be on that list, but I try to defer everything to my teammates, and I couldn't do anything without them, and the 3 other guys out there playing on the line with me, and all the coaching I get from if it was Matt Yoges to EJ Whitlow right now, so they have a big part in it, and I really don't know when I'm on the records and tell somebody else tells me, because I'm not really looking up for that stuff or watching out for that stuff. I'm just trying to perform on the field every Saturday.
Okay, and kickoff is 1 p.m. Saturday at Lubbers Stadium, and it's a Battle of the Valleys. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.